All right, the Ravens have finally made another selection after trading back from 23 to 25. Remember, they traded Marquise Brown, got pick 23, flipped that to the Buffalo Bills. Then at 25, center Tyler Linderbaum. You know I love this pick, Sam. I mocked it to them months ago at number 14. And even though Linderbaum's a little undersized and maybe not the Ravens type of center, my reasoning behind it was, man, that dude brings something different to the run game. He's the best center prospect we've seen since Frank Ragnow. Fills a need for the Ravens. And after all that wheeling and dealing, I think the Ravens are having a great first round.
Yeah, look, I don't even think you need to say since Frank Ragnow. I think he's the best center prospect PFF has seen enter the draft. And I honestly think people are overthinking the Tyler Linderbaum thing completely this entire draft process. We have, for some reason, gotten fixated on him being undersized or short arms or whatever it is. He's basically the same size as Corey Linsley. He's basically the same size as Jason Kelce. These are two of the best centers in the NFL and have been for a number of years, right? Okay, he isn't the same size as Creed Humphrey, who was one of the best centers in the NFL last year. But what we're seeing is it doesn't really matter how big you are if you're amazingly good at your job of blocking other human beings.
Yes.
And Tyler Linderbaum is that. I think you can make a pretty compelling case that the Baltimore Ravens have drafted two of like the top 5 players in this draft. Like Linderbaum is that good. He just plays a position that we don't care about, center, and we've decided he's undersized and therefore should slide down the draft to the point where you're getting drafted at this spot. But Linderbaum, his grades are absolutely off the charts. His tape is phenomenal. I think we're just dramatic. This is the steal of the first round.
Steal of the first round. I know you're a huge Linderbaum fan. So we always talk about scheme fit, right? And if you were drawing it up, you would say Linderbaum with his skills, because of the guys you described, the Corey Linsleys and Jason Kelce's of the world, or whoever it might be, it's like zone blocking, right? You just picture him running that outside zone scheme, firing out low, making that reach block on the nose tackle. At least that's what I think of. That's what I like to watch with those centers. But here's the deal. In the Ravens scheme, first off, they got to replace Bradley Bozeman. But in the Ravens system, they run a lot of power, run a lot of counter, which isn't the most challenging block for the center, right? You just kind of back block. You just try to keep the nose tackle at bay, and it's actually not that difficult. But I do actually believe if the Ravens want to run a little bit more zone, and now you can down block, pull Linderbaum, get him out in space, it's another weapon. It's another weapon the same way adding a receiver is another weapon, adding a running back is a different type of weapon, adding jet sweep to your offense is another weapon. I just think the Ravens have more options now with Linderbaum. He'll be solid in pass protection as well. So I like the fit because I think you could do a lot more with what your staple is, and that's the run game and building play action off that.
And it's another aspect where I think people think of this in antiquated terms, right? Remember on the main podcast, we were talking about how Lovie Smith's defense is not like it was 15 years. It's not like this old school Tampa 2 where all they do is run Tampa 2 every single play. That's the shell. They run everything. I mean, you have to in today's NFL. The run concepts are very similar. Like everybody does a little bit of everything. Even Baltimore, who are this counter power type of team, they still run outside zone. They still run inside zone. And even the power plays are different than they used to be because people aren't running up there with, old school 3-4, 2-gapping defenses,
True.
Right? So Linderbaum may not be able to deal with a Vince Wilfork type of nose tackle or a Jordan Davis type of nose tackle. On the other hand, he's not going to see one of those very often, right? He is generally speaking going to be facing guys that are on a shade that he just has to beat with athleticism, with technique. And Jason Kelce's able to do that, and Corey Linsley's able to do that, and all these other undersized centers are able to do that. Why won't Linderbaum?
All I know is I love a lot of what the Ravens are doing here. They get Kyle Hamilton at the top half of the first round. They get Linderbaum, as you mentioned, maybe 2 top 5 players. Maybe not at the most high-value positions,
right?
But you call them safer plays because you just feel better about what they're going to be able to do. And like you said, Linderbaum, we're talking 90-plus percentile on all the stable metrics that project at the next level for centers.
And this is, look, the Ravens are one of those sharp franchises, right? They're a smart team. They're heavily into analytics and data science and all these areas of stealing a margin on everybody else. And yeah, so it's counterintuitive, right? Why would they then take 2 positions that are of low value, safety and center? That doesn't make any sense at all. Well, look where they've got them, right? They didn't take these 2 guys in the top 5, even though they might be 2 of the 5 best players in the draft, because they're low value positions. they were able to wait on them. They were able to trade down. They were able to get these guys much lower down and potentially got them at a point where they're providing surplus value because they're they're paying less for them. They haven't given up the value in terms of draft capital, but they might have gotten 2 of the best 5 players in the draft who might exceed the typical position value of safety and center.
And Kyle Hamilton's not even really a safety. He's a do-everything defensive player. So anyway, we're going to have more on the Marquise Brown trade as well for the Ravens on the PFF NFL Daily. But loving what the Ravens are doing here in the first round.